And as always, Anson and I are breaking down all the action for you. 4 different game 2s to get through from yesterday, beginning with that Lightning in Columbus game. After 5 overtimes, Anson, and seemingly all of the momentum, even you thought Columbus might be headed for a sweep. They reminded us just why they're one of the most resilient teams in the league. They did it without Cam Atkinson as well, taking game 2 from the Tampa Bay Lightning.
You're right, Michelle. If you watch the first 10 minutes of that hockey game, you think the Tampa Bay Lightning, we're going to sweep that series. Like, they were all over the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they bent, but they didn't break. And that's part of the identity of the Columbus Blue Jackets. They just held the fort just long enough for Korpisalo making some saves that eventually they got to their game. And you have to give them a lot of credit. I mean, there's nothing fancy about the way the Blue Jackets play hockey. It's black and blue jacket hockey for a reason. It's physical. It's tough. There's no easy way out. And, they came out with a victory.
This team just exudes so much confidence as well. I mean, obviously that goal by Alexander Wennberg through the legs, I mean, that was probably the best goal that we've seen of the series thus far. But you mentioned that, like, the way that they just play, they're just so committed to that structure. They bend, but they don't break.
Yeah, and you have no choice. That's the thing about playing in Columbus. And not everyone can play there, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. Because over the course of 82 games, it's a tough way to play hockey. And sometimes it takes its toll on you physically too. But you have to understand, when you put on that jersey, it doesn't matter if you're the top player or the number 22 player, you're going to have to play that style or you're not going to play. And the captains in that team set the tone. Nick Foligno, Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, they play the same way every game. And you have to follow their lead. So you've got to be a great leader, but you have to have great followers too. Columbus has that.
Okay, so transitioning now to Boston and Carolina. Boston's 2 top lines were huge in game 1. No David Pastrnak for game 2. He was deemed unfit to play. And in the end, it was the former Bruin with the game winner, Dougie Hamilton, burying one late in the game to win that one on his grandmother's birthday, might I add.
It was nice to see him give a shout out to his grandmother. You love when guys do that, pay tributes. Family's such a big part of hockey players' lives, so I love when I hear guys talking about their family like that. But you got to give credit to Carolina too. The top lines for Boston showed up and played in game 1, but Carolina eventually got rolling. Mm-hmm. Boston's defense was stifling. Carolina didn't have anything going. They've got great zone entries, but no pressure, 0. Mm-hmm. And eventually, the Andrei Svechnikov, that show woke up. And he showed exactly why he's one of the top players, why he, eliminated the New York Rangers, and why he showed up in last night's game, allowed the Carolina Hurricanes to win that game.
Andrei Svechnikov with 4 goals in the playoff thus far. Not only was he performing on offense, he was also instigating on defense. He was all over the ice, such a dynamic player. But I want to move on because Chicago now is facing a very steep uphill battle, I should say, after their own overtime loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas now leading the series 2-0. And it's got to just be so deflating for the Blackhawks because they did a lot of things right in this game, got goals from their young players. We saw Patrick Kane come alive. They forced an overtime, and yet still not enough to beat the Golden Knights.
Yeah, did you watch that Patrick Kane goal? I mean, I'm watching him 100 miles an hour, going full speed, down the wing, and then I was like this. And no, I didn't forget to speak. I was left speechless. It was unbelievable. A backhand pass, you have to understand, the art of the backhand pass is almost outdated now. And he put it right on Strom's tape. Even you or I could make that play. That's what you call making players better around you. But this isn't the Edmonton Oilers. The Vegas Golden Knights are deep, Michelle. And Chicago Blackhawks have no chance in this series. Like, they played a heck of a hockey game. They didn't quit, but Vegas is just too deep.
Yeah, you feel like if there was one game that they needed to steal to give themselves a chance, it was that game. They played all around just such a well-rounded, good game and still couldn't get it done. And if you were up late night like you were, I know you were because you were texting me at about 2 a.m. after that game concluded, Dallas ends up taking game 2 from Calgary late in the 3rd period. The Flames win that one 5-4, but it wasn't always that pretty. Dallas was actually up 4-2 at one point, gave up a shorthanded goal as well. So they're still working out the kinks a little bit there.
I'm going to let you in a little secret. I got a little bot that I have programmed on my phone that I had a pre-scheduled text sent out to make you think that I was texting you at 2 a.m.
You were asleep?
But I was asleep instead. But Dallas They made it tough on themselves. They're a team that doesn't score easily, just like Columbus. And they got up against the Calgary Flames. The Flames are scrappy. That third line with Dylan and you have Lucic and Sam Bennett, they're going to be in your face. They're going to pound you. But the thing I took away from that game the most was Matthew Tkachuk. He took a beating. I don't know if you saw with Jamie Benn, checked his oil early in that game. Matthew Tkachuk left that game and was like, hey, guys, how you guys doing? It's very tough. And then later in the game, he ran into 2 Dallas Stars players. That could be something to watch into going to the next game because Matthew Tkachuk took a beating in that game.